Gaia's new original show, Truth Hunter, examines UFO sightings and unexplained phenomena to get to the bottom of the question, are we alone in this universe? Emmy Award-winning investigative journalist Linda Moulton Howe joins us today to talk about her new show. Thanks for being here today, Linda.
Oh, thank you very much, and I really agree about the whole focus. We need to understand what we have in this universe and beyond, and I can't think of doing anything more than trying to do that for Gaia.
Yes, and you've been working in this field for decades of science and the real X-Files.
And I think a lot of people don't understand that I did my graduate work at Stanford University, and there I did a master's film on the very first efforts at the Stanford Linear Accelerator to use a computer to analyze the bombardment at the atomic level. It was right at the beginning, and that's my master's thesis. It was a picture calculus. And then I did a film for the Stanford Medical Center. They ended up using that documentary that I did in the 66, 68 time period for 19 years. Wow. And I left Stanford with the idea that I knew that I wanted to work in documentary and news, and I wanted my beat more than anything else to be science and the environment and medicine. And all of the work that I did right out of Stanford for KNBC and reporting, it started taking me into sort of all general reporting. And I knew that there was this tug inside of me that I really wanted to focus on science, environment, and medicine. And I was married at the time, and my husband was going after another degree at Harvard. And life has that strange twistability that it brought me right back to where I was at Stanford. I was hired to be a producer of House Call, which was all medical programming. And so for a couple of years, I was doing symptoms and treatment and diagnosis, and it was like going to medical school and putting it on television. And when I was one of the producers who was honored in New York City for a Peabody Award for the work that I was doing in medicine science, it was also, again, like professionally reinforcing me, this is the track that I am supposed to be on. And so in a way, it is ironic that in the 2016s going forward, that Truth Hunter, the top focus is there other life in this universe? I'm convinced that there is. I think there's been an alien presence on this planet for centuries. One government guy told me at least 270 million years. And it is the science and the medical and the environment beat that I have been on since Stanford University, through news and documentaries and producing at the ABC station in Denver, and then being head and director of special projects at the CBS in Denver, and trying to open up always what is the truth underlying political lies and government lies about the fact that we're not alone in this universe. And the whole context of everything that I have done and that I am doing now is in that same beat. There are rules in journalism. You're always struggling to get people and evidence on the record. And in this field, it has been like walking a razor blade to get either. Mm-hmm. But I sit here today talking with you, feeling like 3-4 decades of walking that razor blade, it's been worth it, because we are so close to this government, at least, finally telling the truth. We're not alone in this universe, and we never have been.
Thank you so much for all of your work and for helping us to get to the point that we are at now with all the reports that you've been able to help bring to light.
Well, it's just beginning. When you think about what we're trying to do on Gaia, which is to open up all of these subjects that in some cases have been politically unacceptable for people to talk about. Think about this. Even in the United States, how many people have been afraid to say that something that was 50 feet in diameter, which has happened, came down in my front yard or my backyard, and in some cases they have even seen beings. And the people have never talked because they were afraid that they would be ridiculed, or people have been said that they would be told by their neighbors that they were crazy. Oh, this is passing.
Right.
And as we go through this century, I think if humanity is going to survive, the one thing that we need more than anything else, we need to have facts. We need to know truths. We can't be living nation to nation on old mythologies, political lies, women having to be suppressed, various other races having to be suppressed. You get the feeling that in the United States election and in Brexit, that something is moving on this planet. And maybe in the chaos, it is moving in the right direction. That all of the old boxes, one way or the other, no matter how governments are trying to keep all those boxes in place, it's almost as if there is a destiny right now. It's going to keep moving forward. We have to break out of these old molds. And somehow in this work that I'm doing now on Truth Hunter and in earthfiles.com, it is the whole idea. Don't live just accepting political rhetoric. Keep breaking through. What is behind? What is the truth? Why should men and women be separated into camps? That should not be anywhere on the planet. Men and women should be relating to each other as human beings with souls. And I say that because that comes up in all of the discussions with human abductees about the non-humans that they have dealt with. And there is this feeling that one of the big interests in humanity is, what is the human spirit? Is there something special that has happened in the evolution of beings on planet Earth that actually and literally were put in motion by other intelligences? Well, perhaps just like you plant seeds and you get a crop, it may be that Homo sapiens sapien was one of dozens of seeds planted on Earth by an intelligence that's not comprehensible to us. But I have this sense right now in the 21st century that something is shifting away, that there is an awareness, whether it's Putin or even what's happening in Syria. Nobody has launched a nuclear weapon, and they could. If telling the truth and moving past, you have to stay here in this widget, you have to stay here in this widget, this nation is going to be the aggressor, this nation is the one that is going to be crushed, that somehow all of that tribal warfare which fed and supported women stay here, men are here, non-humans are there. What if, in the rest of this century, all three are somehow going to merge? And instead of the idea that there is something out there that is going to come and maraud us, that we are going to finally meet the intelligence that wants the tribal warfare and the camps of men and women, all of that to be gone, and we all come together. Everybody comes together, and that finally something that is other than human can be introduced to us as a teacher, as a guide, even our maybe the genetic manipulator that made us, but in the spirit that we are a life form on this planet that is going to survive because we are finally telling each other the truth, and that non-humans can say, you can now join us in trade routes. Wouldn't that be incredible?
Absolutely. What's so amazing about your work is that through all of these countless reports, and with everything happening about the way that people sometimes mention aliens and the differentiating between the groups, you always have a very positive outlook in the end about where we're really headed. And you've mentioned that before on a deep space interview we've done with you, that in all your research, you've always felt that there is an empowerment to this all, that we really can come together and have hope that there is a brighter future waiting for us.
Because if we didn't have allies out there, wherever they come from, if we didn't have allies, I don't think humans would be alive. I think there have been existential threats, and I think it's really clear that there have been other life forms that have been on our side. And when you go back in history, who was Prometheus? Who was Enki? They both championed keeping humans, Homo sapiens sapien, alive when there were other forces that wanted us evaporated. There's something special about us. I really think there is. And that right now, we are at a crossroads on this whole planet. Everybody feels it. Crossroads are messy. Crossroads have all kinds of people and vehicles always on them. And they are confusing. But you can't get to another side, to another point of view. You can't break open another vista if you don't go through this kind of murky, messy intersection. That's the way the world feels right now. I am convinced that right here, right on the other side of this messy intersection, is going to be this 3-inch high headline around the world. Scientists say we are not alone in the universe. And it doesn't matter if it's microbes on Mars, swimming creatures in Enceladus or Europa, it doesn't matter. We need to get out of this tiny little box that we have sort of been forced into through centuries, maybe by competing other intelligences who wanted humans to be on Earth for reasons that are still not clear, completely blind and deaf to their existence. Something in me feels that's probably a truth. But something else, maybe in the avatars of history. No, we are a conscious, intelligent life force. We should not be put in boxes of male, female, skin color, anything. We are an intelligent force in this universe. And I think that there is recognition of that, no matter what the genetic past has been. We humans deserve to be alive. That's my bottom line.
What would you say to people who don't believe that there is life on other planets?
I remember once I was at a conference and a man came up to me, glasses and wearing a kind of rumpled suit. And he said to me, "I've been listening to you, and you know you're all wrong. And the only person who could stand up here and talk about extraterrestrials," and he was holding a Bible, "is a woman." And I can remember the rush of feelings. Once I was producing a very complicated project at CBS about fire in the water. Hydrogen is an alternative to fossil fuels. And the man in front of me reminded me of a phone call that after the show Fire in the Water, there was a broadcast. There were phone calls that came in, and I had produced it. And on that phone call, a man had contacted the general manager and said, "Why do you let Linda Moulton Howe lie about doing productions? Nobody could have done that show unless they were a man." I bring those two together in answer to your question for this reason. I have lived a life where I came in a package of 5'2" female, completely dismissible. And that when these men, the one standing in front of me was saying, "These are all lies, but you get away with it just because you're female." I think over my life that what has happened in answer to your question, the boxes we have been kept in through centuries, that we are the only life form in this universe, they were imposed upon us by senior male humans. Through the centuries, power was only in the minds and the hands of senior male humans. The fact that we're not alone in the universe, something that seems so obvious, such an inevitable truth, and if it is breaking out through me, that which has always been dismissible through history, then there is a kind of karmic balance to it all. And I think it gives me joy to think that all of this work and all of these dismissive categories are breaking apart. Truth is truth. And I am glad that my life has been devoted to bringing the truth, not political categories.
In your years of research on reporting on all of this, have you come across anything that's been an extreme case that's really made you stop and say, wow, this is really proving something big here?
My first reaction was exactly, and it is still, I can't go into it. So as you ask me that, I'm forced to confront and admit that I am holding information I'm self-editing. So far, I have done 4 books: An Alien Harvest, Glimpses of Other Realities, volumes 1 and 2, and Mysterious Lights and Crop Circles. And as you ask me that question, I am thinking that inside of those books is as deep as I can go. And that I still find myself self-editing about some of the aspects of this that I know would scare people. And my job, my role is not to scare people. I am really trying to get to the pressure of fact. I really, really fundamentally think that the more you know, the stronger you are, and that I'm living proof, because I am living with pieces that I still am not sharing. But do I think that the parts that I'm not sharing are existential threats that we as humans living on Earth are in any imminent danger? No. I think that the yin and yang symbol of history represents this universe and this planet perfectly. If this were a universe that was all peaceful and all loving, as we have given lip service to in churches on this planet, I think that our government and other governments would have told the story long ago. The truth is, there's dark and there's white. There are secret wars. There are wars. I grew up thinking that if we went out into the universe, everything would be so perfect. Other life forms would be so far beyond us. They would never use atomic bombs on Japan or on any country. And I think that the sobering truth and reality that I've had to face this. I've had to ask myself, if everything I've been exposed to is the truth, and I think that this difficult ground is, we're in a universe of mixes. The black and the white, the yin and the yang, the opposites, that which destroys and bullies and territorializes, and that which loves and embraces and grows with peace. They are coexistent. They are coexistent on this planet. You cannot be afraid to tell the truth about all of the political conflicts and the secret wars and the fact that the universe itself is filled with beings that may be dangerous. In fact, not telling our world makes us vulnerable. And I think if I had one underlying theme in everything that I've ever done, because I have been in some very difficult situations, I am surprised that I am still alive. And in those difficult situations, coming out on the other side and knowing I am alive, it has always given me this one theme to live by, honest to God. You keep putting one foot in front of the other, no matter how dangerous the ground is. And you just keep going forward with one distinct goal. I think that there is a divine energy, and I do not think it has entropy. I do not think it has war. I think that that is responsible for all the matter worlds, and that the matter worlds themselves are in an infinite number of universes. And it is as if it were necessary to have this universe in which the yin and the yang symbol is the metaphor, because it is only in the conflict, it is only coming up against that which terrifies you, but having some sort of a soul strength and conviction that you just keep going. And when you come out on the other side, it's more difficult for something to come in front of you that will terrify you the same way again ever, and that you will never get down on your knees to something that comes in a form that you don't recognize. And that the form in our history that has been on this planet has presented itself to humans as gods. And they've never been gods. They've always been extraterrestrials. Coming into that lens, coming out the other side, has given me more strength to keep going forward than probably anything else. I have learned you have to walk right onto the ground that just frightens you to your core. But you have to do it, because that's when you learn whether there is a truth in the boogeyman. And over and over and over again, the boogeyman has evaporated. That's what I hope that the audiences in Truth Hunter will begin to understand. We may go through difficult material. It may break all of the molds. It may be completely different than what people have been taught. But the truth, I think, has a kind of steady state. It's our challenge to discover it.
You're so busy with all the shows and lectures that you're giving, which we're absolutely so grateful for, but what do you do in your free time when you're not busy flying around?
One of my most favorite things, my brother and I live in Albuquerque now. It's like you come into life as kids, and when you graduate from college, you go to two parts of the world, and then now for the first time in a long time, we're back in the same place. And I love to go to movies. I have always loved to go to movies. I like just about any kind. And my brother and I and some dear friends of ours, we will do a coming together at a restaurant, go to a movie, and then spend hours talking about it. That always leads to 1,000 different subjects. And that's one of my most favorite things. I think, though, that I love getting out into a sunny day, climbing, walking, because the truth is, I love this planet. I love nature. I love the earth. I love being out where there's a park and life. And it's not corny. I get energy from climbing around on rocks and in trees and the sun and the water. And I think that that's what humans are supposed to do. And one of the things that I wonder about is we're in a digital age now where everything is down to electrons, and that so much is being put on the digital that somehow I'm hoping that we're going to be able to balance that, especially with kids, so that if you're watching, let's say, Truth Hunters on Gaia, that if kids would go out to do their own research, maybe even getting to a library, if we would keep our libraries and not just have Google replace everything, then you still are interacting, and that you actually can be encouraged to go to a place that you're reading about digitally and explore it, because it's only in the physical reaction and interaction with this planet that I have found my greatest joy. I have gone all over this planet. My so-called spare time, I've always tried to go someplace I've never been before, and out of that, it has stretched me in ways that I don't think could ever have happened in a book. The digital world is so wonderful in so many ways, but we can't lose going out and touching a tree and literally smelling flowers.
It's so amazing that, again, you're caught up in all this very heavy material, but you're so grounded, and it really shows that it doesn't have to be one way or the other when you go to find your own truth and to engage in the life around you. You can have everything, and you expressed that just now with going to the movies, but then going out on a walk as well.
It's true.
So there's a way to find the balance and keep searching and not miss out on living this beautiful life on planet Earth.
Yeah. But I love the computer too.
Yeah, sure. It's taught us a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, the global community and the knowledge that can be found there.
Yeah.
On your site as well, on Earth Files.
Yes.
Wealth
Yeah,
of
Dear
knowledge.
Earth Files. It started as a labor of love in 1999. I wanted to have something that would complement all the radio and some of the TV I was doing. And here it is, 2016 going on, and Earth Files is still like one of those center rings that when I sit down with a cup of coffee in the morning, what has happened in the world or the solar system or the universe? I actually think that way. What has happened that I can report fresh today? I love that.
Thank you so much. It's been such an inspiration to sit with you and talk with you. As someone who is heavily in this space, it's just an honor to sit and hear someone so positive and so empowering and really encouraging to keep going on this path for truth.
Well, thank you for giving me the space.
And be sure to tune into Truth Hunter coming in the new year, only on Gaia.